I do want to finish in dominating way. I want to submit him or knock him out again, and that's definitely the 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 ultimate goal. But there's something cool about going to war with someone and being a little back and forth, and then feeling that the person's tough, and then they're overcoming things, and then you overcome things within the fight as well. It's something cool about going through that with someone. Um, but for sure, I want to smash him and not take any damage. That would be cool. But if I have to show a little bit of toughness on the way there, um, that would be cool too.
First of all, introducing our challenger. Coming out of the blue corner. He's going to step in, and he does. It's all over. Let's bring on the boom.
This is Eternal MMA.
All right, everyone, welcome back, and thank you for joining us here once again on another edition of the Eternal Insiders Podcast, powered by Fight HQ. Fight HQ, the official uniform partner for Eternal MMA. You can visit fighthq.com.au for all of your combat sports, training, and apparel needs. And with that, let us welcome in today's guest. He's the former Eternal MMA Bantamweight champion. He's the multi-time international Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition medalist. He is set to face off against Justin Van Heerden in an epic trilogy match on August 17. One of the good guys in the sport, one of Perth, Western Australia's finest. One of my favourite people to talk to of all time, Rod Costa. Rod, always a pleasure talking to you, man. Thanks for joining me here on the show for what feels like about the 100th time, brother, but it's always a good time to talk to you. How you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me again, and always a good intro. Very nice. Thank you.
I appreciate that, man. Normally when I talk to people, I like to pretend that I don't practice those 100 times before we jump on here, so I'm definitely just winging that. But thank you. I appreciate the kudos, man. But yeah, like I said, it's always good to talk to you, man. How's everything with you? We've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, that fight we got coming up at Eternal 87, a trilogy match with Justin Van Heerden. How are you feeling ahead of this one, brother?
Feeling good. Yeah, it's always good to not have to cut to bantamweight. Like you see the guys around the gym struggling at this point in time, and I'm sweet. So that's the good part. The only real difference from other camps, it's the calories in.
Now, you're, of course, coming off a title loss down at Bantamweight. This, of course, as you said, is a fight back up at featherweight, which you've competed at for sort of the large majority of your career. Now, you have talked recently on a few different podcasts and that sort of thing and said that that fight with Justin would be one that you'd sort of like to get back. Outside of potential Bantamweight rematch title fight, is this sort of the match that you'd sort of identified as number one as sort of the match you'd want to get most?
It is, but there's a reason. It's not just because it's Justin. I don't particularly want to fight Justin. It's just I'm a competitive guy. He beat me in a way that I feel is it doesn't really matter. He beat me, and anyone that beats me, I want to fight him again. I like I said before, I want to fight with Ethan again. I would love to have a crack at Jack Jenkins again, but that's not going to happen because he's far above where we're at. He's doing good things in the UFC, and I cheer for him. But it's just that it just comes out of competitiveness. I want to fight anyone that beats me, unless I feel like I can't beat him. But I'm pretty confident I can beat everyone I fought before.
Well, we already know you can beat Justin, man, because you've already beat him one time. Hence why we have this trilogy fight. It's come together pretty well. You beat him originally. He, of course, got the most recent win over you, and this is why we're doing this dance again. So it's all lined up pretty freaking well. Now, I already talked to Justin, and he said that as far as this match coming together, he pretty much found out that this was going to be a possibility after a recent title fight of his own that he lost outside of Eternal MMA, so that he found out the next day that this could be put together. How soon or how recent did you sort of find out about this? Was this something you asked for specifically, or was this something that like Ben and Cam kind of just brought to you and you said said yes?
Yeah. No, it got brought to me because I wanted the rematch, losing the title didn't feel good. Makes it worse because I thought I won, and so you kind of want to right that wrong in my head, But what I got told is he wasn't gonna be ready until October or something to that extent, and I wanted to fight in August. That's all I said to them. And I believe Ben came back to me and said Justin, and I said, yeah, pretty simple, pretty easy, to be honest.
I mean, again, just like on the trilogy fight itself, I mean, Mitch Tinley on Australian MMA Podcast, he pretty much put it perfectly, so that obviously with you guys, with your history, both of a win over each other, they're both knockout wins. Just in terms of how you even stack up against each other, the fact that you're both coming off title losses basically within sort of a week of each other.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like the trilogy, like a trilogy has never sort of made so much sense. So, I mean, do you sort of look at it in that way too? Like that this is just, if we're going to do it any time, like this is kind of the perfect time to do it?
Yeah. A lot of things had to happen for this to happen, I lost my match. He lost his match. If he hadn't lost his match, he probably wouldn't have been coming to Eternal. If I lost my match, I would have been defending Bantamweight, I feel. So, just the way the dice rolled, yeah. And it does feel like the perfect timing, given everything you said, yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like even if that match had have gone your way in the Bantamweight title fight, in terms of you getting the nod, you mentioned before that you're so competitive and you want to get back any of those losses anyway, would have that have been something like if you had won the Bantamweight title and there was no other matches maybe immediately available to you, like in that weight class, would have Justin still made sense to you, even coming off a win?
Yeah, I would have done it for sure. But being completely honest, I would have preferred to, if I had options. So if they came to me like, all right, we got this guy at Bantamweight, we got Justin at featherweight, I would have picked Bantamweight at that point, just because to ride out the momentum, That's how I feel when I look at it, when I think about it now, Who knows if I had won and they offered to me what I would actually think at the time. I believe I would have still wanted to keep going with the bantamweight, but maybe my ego would have gotten the better of me.
I know you've probably been asked this a couple of times. I did want to ask you, just in terms of us having a bit of distance from that fight against Kuya for the bantamweight title. You believed at the time that was a match you won. You obviously still feel this way now that you've got some distance from the fight. Like, talk about that fight in general, and sort of when you look back and analyze it, what are your sort of thoughts, and why is it you do believe that you won the fight?
I do think I won the fight. I think I controlled the majority of the fight. I think I lost the fight officially because it's being judged by people that don't understand MMA or don't understand grappling or have never done a grappling session in their lives. Not the most exciting fight I've ever had, but being under me for however long he was under me, like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, however long it was, is not a fun thing to do. He's spending a lot of energy. And on top of me not doing much, if I'm not doing damage, he's definitely not doing damage because he's just trying to defend and getting back up on top, So I feel he won the fight because he was loud in a few moments. He's got a very good spirit and he's got a lot of heart, and he showed that. So, like a couple of times when he goes to punch, he yells, and then he's trying to get up and he gets up and it's visually more appealing. I 100% believe that's why he won the fight, because there's people that are judging the fights that have no fucking idea what's happening, I don't think I won by a lot, I think it was definitely close, and I think there's a discussion to be had. I don't, like I said, I made a little post about it, and I wouldn't call anyone that thinks he won unfair, but I 100% believe I won that fight, but by a slight margin. But what has he done, If I didn't do much, he broke my nose with one punch. Didn't really faze me. I didn't drop. I didn't look like I was hurt, other than visually, other than aesthetically, I would say. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see how he won that fight. But that's just me. Yeah.
And look, I want to focus a bit more on Eternal 87, because that's of course the fight coming up, and there's a few questions I want to ask about that. But just to hang on the Kuya Ito fight for a little bit with that bantamweight championship. You've been told, have you, that this is like a possibility still? I think you mentioned that he wasn't going to be available until October. Is that something that's still potentially on the cards? I have no idea if it would be dependent on results with you and Justin, but is that still something that can be put together in the future when he's ready?
That's what I want, yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Is that anything in terms of even for you, is that dependent on how things go with Justin? Like, I don't know if you get a win with Justin, maybe you want to stick around featherweight. And I know you're always open to possibilities, but this result with Justin has nothing to do, has no bearing on potentially getting that rematch?
Nah, unless Herbert Burns pulls out and then they need someone else for Jack Jenkins and they call me up, I'll rather go down to bantamweight.
Oh man, I mean, imagine that, man. Like putting that out in the universe. Like, let's just what do they call it? Staying ready, don't they? Like, just in case. Let's go.
The next day.
Yeah, it is the very next day, man. Holy shit!
I do need to break my record. I think I fall on 36 hours notice or 30 or something. That would be nice.
That'd be nuts. Yeah, I mean, you'd be just shy of what was it? Rob? No, not Dan Ige. What he fought on like 8 hours notice, something like that. So maybe you could break those kind of records, man.
Yeah. How cool is that? That's very cool. Right?
That was insane, man.
Cool.
Like I can't believe that he managed to do that. I didn't even know that was such a thing that they could weigh you in on the day and then just chuck you straight in there. So I don't think anyone thought it could be a thing, but that's cool. I'm dirty they didn't put him on that Noche UFC card because he said that he wanted on. And Dana said he can have whatever he wants. They don't put him on there. Like, what the fuck is going on? So
I looked at that card. It doesn't seem like I always love to support the UFC. I think they know what they're doing, but doesn't seem like the best card yet, We'll see.
I think just on that, I think they just needed something like more. You know how you usually put on a main card of like a pay-per-view, they usually put like an opener, like it's always a banger. They didn't really have that. Like I know they got a Mexican guy, it's sort of an up and comer, but I just thought they just needed one little sort of sweetener just to open that card. Like maybe like a Dan Ige or something like that. Who knows? I don't know. It's gonna be a fun card either way, so I'm looking forward to it for sure. Yeah, are you going to the fights the next day for the UFC? Are you planning on doing that?
No, I don't think so. If Delo was gonna fight, I would have loved to go and watch live, but no, I think I'm gonna watch with some friends and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And just on, if you do get this Kuya fight back, to get your bantamweight title back, man, like anything that you think you'd specifically do differently or anything like that? Like I know you think you got the job done in this last match, but is there anything that you sort of look at where you think, maybe I should have zigged when I should have zagged? Like, is there anything that pops to mind in terms of what you might do different next time?
Yeah, 100%. I just need to do more damage, and the damage will open up more submission attempts. Even if I don't do that much damage, I normally go for more submissions as well. I don't know what happened. It's also pointless to try and like think back what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. It's chaos in there, and for some reason, I was a little bit slower than I normally am. I already am. I feel like a slower grappler, and I focus more on the submissions and the punches and stuff. But that's something that I need to work on. That's something that could have made the fight more visually appealing for me, So I think that do fight exactly the way I fought, but do more damage and open up more submission attempts,
Well, in terms of visually appealing fights, man, I mean, we've already had 2 of those from you and your next opponent, Justin Van Heerden. Like we said, you got a knockout win against him originally. He got the knockout win against you in the second fight. So we set up a trilogy fight, which is incredibly exciting. 1 or 2 trilogy fights, mind you, on the main card for Eternal 87, which is cool. Your teammate, Jack Becker, of course, being a part of one of those. So what a main card we've got to look forward to in that regard. But like just in terms of that, man, I think there's a couple of cool sort of elements to the fight. I've already talked to Justin and, he sort of said that, look, he's had a chip on his shoulder forever, but he's got even more of a chip on his shoulder now because he feels like he's done so much in this country and so much in the game. So he's sort of coming in with that sort of mentality. Like, do you feel like for your part, is there sort of a bit of an edge for you? Because while this is a trilogy fight, while you do both have a knockout win over each other, the most sort of fresh one, I guess, in our memory is you were the last one to receive the loss, right? He's the one with the most recent win. Does that sort of give you any kind of more edge in your mind that this isn't just a trilogy fight for you? You're also avenging like a fairly recent loss.
I don't know. I never thought about it in that regard, and I try not to think about any of that stuff, I don't think so. I think it's just a fight, I think it's just a fight, and he thought the first one was a fluke. He thinks the third one's gonna go like the second one, and I think the opposite. I think the second one was a lucky shot, and I'm gonna beat him again. So one of us is right. That's the beauty of MMA,
Yeah, we get to check it out, man. So I mean, there's so many people that are keen on this. I think this is kind of like we got 3 title fights on the card, but this is sort of a bit of a people's main event, if you kind of will. Like it's just in terms of a trilogy fight, I think this is just like take the trilogy out of it, like this matchup has always been a sort of a cool idea. So I'm looking forward to this like crazy, man. And even, just in terms of that, like you talk about the wins and everything, and you talk about being sort of satisfied with certain wins. Like I talked to your head coach and Eternal MMA promoter, of course, Ben Vickers, recently. Talked about that fight. He said that he had a conversation with you even about that fight with Kuya and said like he's a guy that hates decisions. I'm sure this is something he said many times to you, and that he sort of likes that beautiful violence kind of thing. Like, do you feel sort of a similar way in terms of how you get the job done? Because you got something like an 87% or 83% like finishing record, like on your record. Like, do you think in order for this to truly be capped off with this trilogy with Justin, like, do you need to get like another impressive finish? Like maybe we end up getting like an absolute barn burner and we get fight of the night, but you're looking to hopefully sort of get a finish to really cap the trilogy off?
I do want to finish in a dominating way. You know, I want to submit him or knock him out again, and that's definitely the ultimate goal. But there's something cool about going to war with someone and being a little bit back and forth, and then feeling that the person's tough, and then they're overcoming things, and then you overcome things within the fight as well. It's something cool about going through that with someone, you know. But for sure, I want to smash him and not take any damage. That would be cool. But if I have to show a little bit of toughness on the way there, that would be cool too.
Do you sort of think with the fact that you both have knockout wins over each other, like, is this a sort of thing? I can't remember exactly how like the first fight played out, but obviously you guys are very, very like high level grapplers, you know, very distinguished grapplers, of course. You know, you're a multi-time medalist in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition. Justin, a very strong grappler. Like, do you think it kind of like you cancel each other out a little bit in sort of that regard, and that's why both fights have kind of ended in a knockout? Like, do you think there's a chance it kind of goes sort of that way again? Like, that's the way it's trending because you guys are such strong grapplers?
I think there's a chance, but because fights start standing, and then something within those two fights kind of made us not go to the grappling, right? From that first fight, like I landed just a right hand in the first round, and I think I kind of caught him off guard. It wasn't a full drop. He dropped. I dropped him with the right hand, but it's more of like I feel like I caught him off balance, and he's a bit surprised, and then he dropped, right? And then from then on, I'm like, all right, fucking, I dropped him once. Let's keep going, you know? And then I dropped him again, and then I knocked him out. So, and then in the second fight, I wanted to grapple. I remember clearly thinking I wanted to grapple. And then I started that first round from my memory anyway. I could be wrong with all of this, but I haven't watched that fight many times. But I think the first round was just a little bit of movement. I don't think me or him really got a shot in that mattered, you know? And the second round, I remember, you know, I always feel better in the second round. Like, I feel like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do work. And then I came out for the second round, and really early in the second round, he knocked me out. So I think it's just not luck, but it's just the way the things went. You know, I don't think he went in there being like, I don't want to struggle. Maybe he didn't want to grapple with me on that first fight because of my resume in jiu-jitsu or whatever. But I'm pretty sure the second fight, both of us were like thinking about some grappling is going to happen, you know. And then, but he just caught me. So I think that's what happened, you know.
Look, I know you guys obviously don't really sort of have anything to do with each other. Like, a lot of that is obviously the fact that you both live on different sides of the country and everything. I've never personally perceived the rivalries, you sort of call it, because we're heading to a trilogy match, so it is a rivalry. Like, I've never perceived it as being like a heated rivalry or anything like that. Like, I know you guys are both very competitive, and you know, you're both like, you want to finish each other and everything. Like, how would you sort of describe the dynamic between you and Justin these days in terms of that relationship and in terms of that rivalry?
Yeah, I got nothing against him. I think he's a cool dude trying to do the same thing I'm trying to do, you know. We're both trying to get somewhere with this MMA thing, with competition, and even if it's just to better ourselves, you know. The first thing I remember about Justin is like, I thought he was a little bit off, because there's a couple of fights where he after the fight he kind of gave the opponent fingers and be rude to a couple of guys. But that's like before me fighting him. I didn't know the history behind the fights. You know, like he fought one of my teammates, and it was a little bit rude to him, Toby. You know, and Toby's one of the nicest dudes in the world. I don't know the history there or what happened, but my first thought about Justin is like, you know, a bit of an idiot and this and that. But I've had moments in my career where I probably didn't carry myself the best either, and he might have seen that and might have judged me as well in that way, you know. But now that we've fought twice, I know a little bit more about him. I've seen more of him. We've exchanged conversations here and there. You know, I really do not have anything against him apart from the fact that I want to beat the fuck out of him on the 17th. But that's about it. You know, after that, I'll train with him. We can, you know, I've got no animosity. You know, that I'm not fabricating hate towards anyone. You know, I'm just honest and sincere with what I feel. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. But he's cool on my books.
Hypothetically, and we're talking because you guys are both such great grapplers, but hypothetically, a submission grappling match between you and Justin, no strikes, just a grappling match, pure grappling match. Tell me how you think that fight goes if you guys just had a pure grappling match together.
He knows what happens. I'll play with him if it's pure jiu-jitsu. Granted, he can submit me and he can do really well grappling in MMA. It's a completely different game. You know, obviously, I feel like I have the edge because of my jiu-jitsu, but it is a completely different game. There's a lot more wrestling involved. There's punches, there's this and that. Pure jiu-jitsu, no punches. I'll do whatever I want to him. That's the reality.
I like it. Well, this is an MMA match, and we're looking forward to this one big time, man. Huge trilogy match, August 17, Perth, Western Australia, your home state. People love Rod Costa down there, and they've got a massive treat of a card, massive weekend for mixed martial arts. In Australia with UFC on top of it, man. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun for the people being there. It's going to be a lot of fun for the people watching at home on UFC Fight Pass. But if you're going, still get your tickets at eternalmma.com because we know that's going to sell out even more than what the last one did. So always appreciate your time, man. Thanks for coming on, as always. All the best on August 17, and we'll do this all again sometime soon, brother.
Very soon. Thanks, Luke. Always a good chat, and I appreciate the time, brother.